literally went to my existing customers and be like, if I don't close another 6 deals in the next 3 months, this company is going down. And people say that you can't tell that to customers, then they would leave. None of my customer left. They worked with me. They were like, we love your product. We love how you work with us. And we want to make sure you survive.
So I was introduced to Harish Chandramowli, co-founder and CTO of Flaire, and everything he's doing seems super interesting. So I'll preface this conversation by saying I know very little about building a tech company and even less about fashion. Welcome to the show, Harish.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited to interview you and talk about, discuss kind of your life pre-fashion and current day in the fashion industry. Very interesting. I think to get us started, talking through your background, I think is going to be very helpful for the audience to have context to our discussion. So tell us how you got here.
Just to start with my background, I started as a computer science engineer. I did my undergraduate in computer science. From there, I worked for this company called Cordis, which is like a garage startup from Bonn, who used to be running the biggest ERP system out there in 80s.
Okay.
It was a good experience. I guess as a new grad, I was doing all the fun, normal coding things I usually do. But I noticed that like security was a big part of what I was doing, and it was pretty interesting. That led me to join Johns Hopkins for their cybersecurity course. Johns Hopkins is the first place where I kind of married business and technology. Mm-hmm. Because as hard as the courses are, everyone I work with are pretty innovative. Everyone just don't want to go and work in a job. They want to do something on their own. Me and my roommates from Hopkins at the time, when we visit India, we used to ask like, our friends like, hey, who has their car available so that we can just like drive around for that 1 week? Mm-hmm. And we decided, why not make it into an app? Like, I feel like building an app is so easy for us.
Yeah.
You don't spend on engineers, and we know how to just use the free tier to build like fun apps.
Yeah.
That's probably like the first time where like, I don't think we did that as like we want to do a tech startup. It was more like, we have time, it's fun, let's do it. And one led to the other, where first in India, you do not have SSN or that kind of like trust verification process. Mm-hmm. And in our app, what we ended up doing is like, we did a small domain verification, because in security, you learn about a lot of these technical things. Mm-hmm. But one of the things is like domain verification is very secure. So if you come and say you are working in Google, and if you do not have google.com email address, then you are probably not there. So we did some kind of the technical thing, but for non-technical people, that gave the confidence that, hey, if I am giving my car or lending my car to someone, I know this person has been verified to be working in some big companies that I can trust. The funny thing is like, it was totally like technical solution that we came up with, but somehow it ended up applying to the real world. A security thing which you learn is fully applied to the real world. And that led to what happened around there is like, there are like in India, you have like rentals who have like 4 or 5 vehicles that they try to rent out. And they started using this platform for this feature. And one led to the other. It was like the first time I feel like married tech to like some fun real world idea. But unfortunately at the time, Hopkins is a bit expensive. None of us could leave, like we all needed a paycheck. So none of us could leave a stable job to pursue this thing as like a real full-time thing. Looking back, honestly, like I appreciate how much of a good position we were in. You didn't do marketing. You had customers. People talk about you and everything. Anyway, the past is the past. But I joined Bloomberg for their security engineering team, which is again like, even within tech and software is so buried under the layer that your customers are other developers within the company.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure everyone
So I have a question. Let's go back to the app. So the app that you're talking about, you built, it's sort of like the modern day Turo app.
Yes.
Okay. So that's got to hurt a little bit, seeing that someone has had success with an idea that you started back then, right?
Yes. It's modern day Turo app, except that some of these functionalities are kind of like added specific to the region.
Yeah.
That's it.
So how do you feel about how that app has done, knowing that you had the idea originally?
I think both came around the same time. And I don't think I have any regrets. I tried something. I had fun.
Yeah.
I learned, but the biggest learning was that we always talk about how founders sacrifice a lot,
Hmm.
but even to sacrifice, you need to be in a little bit of privileged position to
Yes.
be able to do that sacrifice and like do these things.
Oh, that's really good. I like that.
And that was
I
my
hadn't thought
biggest
about that.
learning. Everyone can come and say that, like, hey, you need to be a founder. You should just start a company.
Yeah,
But everyone's personal situation is different. So not everyone has
sure.
to try to be a founder.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Very, very wise. I like that you've taken that from that experience, because I wouldn't suspect to hear that from the next 10 people. But so it sounds like you learned a lot about security then in that building process. So that's what you leveraged for your Bloomberg position.
Yes, Bloomberg was
Okay.
very technical security position. And I was building like a lot of security related tooling for the company. Again, very, very like my customers are software engineers who are really good, not even
Mhm.
like outside people. From there, that experience led me to MongoDB, which is like a database company.
Okay.
If you have used NetSuite, Oracle is a database company that owns it. My MongoDB is pretty much like a competitor to them.
Okay.
They just launched cloud. Again, they wanted to build security team. And as a part of that, I was interviewing them, got hired to build out those teams and whatever they need. And one of the things I noticed when I joined MongoDB is that their requirement for security is more around like policies,
Mm.
documentations, and things that does not excite me the most compared to building. So I didn't end up like, obviously we formed the security team, but I didn't end up joining the security team. I was just
Mhm.
moving around different teams wherever I had like fun security projects. And that's one of the perks of being an early employee, that you get that freedom, not to be like constrained by some policies or team and everything.
Yeah.
But one led to the other. I started managing core MongoDB Atlas team. And as a part of that work, you also go on call. What on call basically means, like when something goes wrong, you will be the first line of defense.
Yeah,
Right?
I've actually seen some clips on Instagram where someone's talking about that in a funny way. I think that's super interesting. A world that I didn't know anything about.
You know, it's when you are on call, you hate it
Yeah.
purely because it's so stressful. It's
Yes.
so hard. Like if a Coinbase messages you saying that my cluster is down, so many people are using Coinbase. Same with Goldman Sachs, and then
Yeah.
you would be like, oh my god, I need to fix it. So many people are using it, and like the pressure is really, really like on.
Yeah.
But looking back at the end of the 2 years, this also allowed me to observe how people use data, how in real world data makes an impact. And some of our biggest customers at the time were in retail industry. That's when the curiosity came around, like why retail industry is paying so much money
Hmm.
to keep this amount of data, and how they are using it, and how useful it is for them, how it adds value to them. So being on call, however stressful it was, it allows me to observe all these patterns, how things
Yeah.
are being used,
See all
how
the problems.
it helps people. And that made me curious about retail industry, and that's what led to the beginning of Flair at Fashion.
And so retail, by when you say retail, you're talking about the online 24/7 retail or the kind of 9 to 5 retail.
Online 24/7 retail, and
Okay.
also even the 9 to 5 ones. For example, a clothing store here would behind the scenes would be using Shopify, and
Hmm.
Shopify needs to be like 24/7.
Yes,
So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how your business operates, the software you operate is always 24/7.
that's right. Yeah. I was wondering because it made me think, well, all these stressful all call situations might have made you think, huh, I need to get into the 9 to 5 business where we handle problems during the day.
I mean, I could have done that if I just wanted to be an individual contributor and not manage like a core
Yeah.
team. But I don't know. People ask me this question. I feel like I chase
Hmm.
this kind of task
There's a
for
little bit
no
of a thrill,
reason.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it puts you close to the work. I mean, being in that, I think you're very hands on when you're doing that kind of work.
Yeah. So the other major part for me, especially the takeaway from this on call, is that these are the times where you really like get out of your technical coding mentality and actually start thinking about how the product is being used in real world,
Hmm.
how totally non-technical person gets most out of your technical product.
Mhm.
And that's where actually the shift came from. I want to be a software engineer to being like, I want to be a founder.
Yeah. And so did you have this sort of switch from coding for the sake of coding to more curiosity around how the user is utilizing that software or the interfacing with it and wanting to be more engaged in those conversations, and that's kind of what led you to this idea of being a founder?
Part of that and part of that is innovation. So let me take a step back around like a little bit of like origin story around like what excited me about Flair and how it came about.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a store called ONS Clothing in Soho, downtown New York. I was there, I was talking to their founder. The founder was walking me through his pain points, how he operates, and we even sat in some of their weekly meetings to understand how a business operates in the back end.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is one thing about seeing a solution, and one thing about is like really forming a company. I was very happy at MongoDB. It's not like I'm trying to form a business.
Mm-hmm.
So that needs to be a specific pull for you to do this change. So there are a few things which matter to me, right? One, what value I can add. If I am leaving it and starting a company, can I add an value? And if I am adding the value, how is the competition? Can I actually reach more people?
Mm-hmm.
When you think about fashion business, when you think about how back office operation works, the first thing is like Oracle is the biggest player, NetSuite, and it costs you $100,000, $200,000 to do all your custom configurations.
Mm-hmm.
And front office is dominated by Shopify. So most of the websites you see are created in Shopify, are maintained in Shopify. In both these sectors, I am not going to start a startup and as one or five people company going to disrupt it. I'm never going to build something as good as Shopify with the
Mm-hmm.
startup. Nor, at least on day one, I'm not going to compete with NetSuite.
Sure.
But the sweet spot and innovation comes in the mid sector, which is more of like even my technical hat allows me to kind of like mix my technical hat with what I want to problem solving with users is the
Mm-hmm.
mid segment market. This also led to why I picked fashion at the beginning, right? So, for example, ONS has t shirts. So that means you see your business as color and size. And
Mm-hmm.
then fashion business is a bit more complicated. When you walk into a boutique store, you see the color and you assume your size is there. There is a reason behind it because if you run out of large, you take out every remaining size in that color and that variety of t shirt out of your
Mm-hmm.
store. That means you are sitting on the inventory. You need to make more decision around what to do with it and how to manage it. And you are also talking about quick 3 month inventory turnaround. Then it becomes a more data problem as well as workflow problem. And I'm coming from a database background.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is I was also talking to a female athletic wear companies and they see their product as cup size, torso length, color, as well as like your regular sizes. That
Mm-hmm.
means it's even more complicated to maintain your SKUs. SKUs is like a t-shirt is a SKU.
Sure.
And now you are talking about even more complex data problem that you are trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
And these companies do not have the $100,000 or $200,000 money to hire engineers to just have like a custom code. That's where whatever I did at MongoDB, can I extend it, bring the innovation, make it cheaper so that these people get the same out of data
Mm-hmm.
from what a bigger companies gets by spending so much money out there.
So before you are offering your solution to these companies, how are they doing it?
So before we started offering the solutions, there were legacy players who were in this industry, but what they would say is like you can have only two varieties. So if you are a swimwear company, you don't see it as four different varieties of product. You say like, okay, my athletic wear like swimwear is split by color plus swimwear model and not just swimwear model. Though you see your business as like a swimwear one
Mm-hmm.
style and that's it. Whereas for
Mm-hmm.
ERP reasons, you need to adopt yourself, make the business like see your business in a different way
Mm-hmm.
because software is forcing you to do it.
Ah, okay. So they're sort of in a way dictating the business model.
Yes.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
It's
It's
unfortunate.
it's like they're in a box, and so it
Yeah,
sounds like you're giving them some freedom, to think outside of that box.
exactly. So throughout my last 2 years of journey, one of the theme we followed is that when we talk to users, when I am in my first two sales call, I will not show them the product. I will make them talk through your business, number of headcounts you have, what is each one's functionality. Then I take that notes, feed it into ChatGPT or like one of these AI tooling, and
Mhm.
draw a nice like workflow chart around it. In my second meeting, I literally walk them through like, let me walk me through how your business works. This is the visual, and correct me if I'm missing something. So that we both are in the same page on what you are doing from not a software sense, not what you need from
Mhm.
software, but from business. And then in your third call, you go back and be like, okay, this is what my understanding of your business is. Then I can tell you how Flair can fit into it.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's a completely different way of looking at their business. Whereas right now they're almost pigeonholed to look at it from a software standpoint first. Yeah, that's
And
it. That's good.
one of the things I noticed is like a lot of people haven't really seen their business in a visual way. It builds trust as well with your customers because for them it's more like, damn, I never imagined this is how my business is working
Mhm.
until you put the visual in front of them.
Mhm. Yeah, very interesting. It's like, again, I don't know the layers to this industry to ask more insightful questions, but it begs that the complexity is there. If you can dig into the complexity, help them understand first of all how complex it is, really, and how much it's affecting their business model, and it helps them to rethink their business in a way that's so valuable. It goes beyond just buying your solution.
Yes. And obviously, like AI is a buzzword that you see everywhere,
Hmm.
but it's also hard to understand which of them are really like adding value.
Hmm.
So, which is just the buzz that you are trying out,
That's
right?
right.
And when you experiment these things, when you draw the workflow, at the time it clicks like, hey, you are having one person, for example, in my case, you are having some of three of my customers actually had one person, their sole job is keying in the information they get from factory will send you like, hey, I will produce these items these many days, this is when it will get shipped in like a
Mhm.
random like PDF format, and this person's only job is literally to take the PDF and key it into the system,
Mhm.
and AI can do that and you just need to verify. Now
Yeah.
you are saving like a 10 hour of manual work per day.
Yeah. And you're reducing errors.
Yes. But if you say, hey, A will be your accountant and it's going to just like update your invoice, pay your invoice, a
Mhm.
mistake it does, it's really bad. Now
Mhm.
you are spending even more time combing through whom I paid wrong. And it's not there yet. It's just that doing these diagrams, talking about business, talking about the workflow also helps you be more nimble and also advise companies, even if we don't do something, we would be like, go and check out this software. It will make you more efficient.
Hmm. Okay, so let's come back to Flair here in a second, but I want to step back one step and ask you, for the founders, the technical founders that are listening to this, I think this is super valuable to hear from you. And you made this transition from speaking to a technical audience to now you're speaking and selling to a non-technical audience. What has that transition been like, and what are some lessons you learned?
The transition was, I wouldn't say it was not easy, but it's also not as hard as I dreaded it to be.
Okay.
And that is also helpful in the era of ChatGPT. So one of the things I do is like initially, yes, I used to my sales call, I usually start with being honest, saying that, hey, I am an engineer. And if you say some problems, I might dive so deep into solving those problems.
Yeah.
So please take a step back and stop me. When
Yeah.
you say that to customers, they love it. Surprisingly, they love that authenticity that you are not coming from your sales background. And they literally like work with you in your sales call.
Oh, well, that's great.
And second part I usually do is like when I want to talk about something very technical, I before my like prep during my prep time, I feed it to ChatGPT and ask it like, is this too technical? Can you please like tell me how I can like make it much more simpler?
I have to say that um, there's something very endearing about that because, you know, across the board almost, you have non-technical buyers in all kinds of industries buying from technical people. A lot of founders are product people, and so the fact that you are kind of starting the conversation with, hey, I'm very technical and you're probably not. So help me understand your world as I seek to understand it. That's a completely different model of communicating, that's much more empathetic than a typical founder or technical person, even technical salesperson on a bigger company. I mean, I would have to imagine that is why people probably want to have a second conversation, and probably why you have. I'm just going to go ahead and guess you probably have a pretty high retention rate.
It's actually a good thing you called out, because before I started doing it, I got all the advice around like how you need to act in sales call, that you know
Mm,
everything. You are the genius in this field.
yeah.
You need to teach them.
Yes.
That's not my personality. I tried doing it and I was so nervous. I used to think a lot. I used to like stutter a lot.
Uh-huh.
And the moment I became honest and be like, hey, I actually don't know a lot. There are things I know. I will
Yeah.
add value to you, but it's something we are going to work together. It's not the advice I get from salespeople, but the moment I did it, it was very smooth. Everyone I spoke to were very nice.
That's so interesting though, because I think one perspective is like coming into you see an opportunity in a non-technical world in this industry, but changing your approach and probably happen through feedback. I mean, obviously you have a different wiring maybe that you leaned into too, but like responding to the feedback helped you tremendously to get conversations and keep conversations going.
It's not just it doesn't even end alone, right? Being honest was helping me a lot even in later stages. I think few months back when I really needed customers to do the fundraise, I need to figure out what to do. I literally went to my existing customers and be like, hey, if I don't close another 6 deals in the next 3 months, I'm not going to do the fundraise.
Yeah.
This company is going down.
Yes.
And it's not something people say that you can't tell that to customers, then they would churn, they would leave.
Yeah.
None of my customer left. They worked with me. They were like, send me a flyer. I will send the introductions.
Mhm.
When I go for these B2B wholesale, like selling like conferences, I will take your flyer with you because we love your product. We love
Yeah.
how you work with us and we want to
That's
make sure
amazing.
you survive. It's again another lesson, right? Like people usually say that like you need to handle your CSM and like customer like messaging, right? I was honest with them and no one churned. No one came and be like, we want to leave the platform tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a valuable product or solution, which apparently you do. But then you have to know that it's still all about relationships. All of this is still about relationships. And so you're approaching it in a very humble and honest way, which I think probably takes people back a little bit. In fact, in that industry, which I don't know well, but I just know from TV and, hearing my wife talk about different things, that's a very dog eat dog world, a very high image world, high competition. So probably a breath of fresh air and one that they don't get at all anywhere, let alone a technical, product.
I know it's some of the places it would be fun. I would go for these fancy private like launch events.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I am dressed up really well. I would go there and be like, I'm dressed up so bad. But the people there would be like, okay, you are the tech guy. You don't have to worry. Just
Yeah,
come.
that's right. Yeah, you stick out in the best way.
Yes, even that is more ends up being like, okay, everyone knows you as the tech guy, and they would follow up and be like, what should I do with my software?
So now that you've been in fashion world for a little while, how has that improved your fashion? Has it improved it at all?
Let's say every time a fashion week happens, I need to go for my clients like fashion week shows. My friends are stressed because the day before they need to take me for shopping.
But now wait, your friends are probably other technical people. So why would they care?
They are definitely way more fashionable than who I
Okay.
am. And some of them are definitely like in non-tech world designers.
Yeah.
And people who care about things, who learn about these things much better than me.
Okay. So tell me, let's one more question as we're transitioning into Flaire. How did you learn about the fashion industry? I mean, I understand you're on the technical side. You see that you want to be more on the non-technical side, but what happened that opened your eyes to the fashion world specifically?
So back in India, I grew up in a place which has all these major manufacturing happening.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the shift that I would always be curious is that when we grew up, we need to buy clothes in like LBs. You don't buy a t-shirt, you buy a LB of t-shirts like around the factories, because you get all these rejected pieces, quality check pieces. So the
Uh-huh.
factories would just be like, come and buy XYZ
Okay.
loads of like clothing. And yes, as you move to cities, even in India, you see that like things change. So that always made me curious about this whole process. But I think honestly, the biggest thing that made me curious is why Oracle is the biggest player in the industry. A
Mm-hmm.
very solid tech company is the biggest player in this industry. That is honestly the one that made me the most curious, created the most curiosity for me.
Okay. But why fashion though? I mean, do you have a circle of influence, or did you walk in a store one day, or what was the
Oh,
inspiration?
no. So I did look at different industries. That's where like the business aspect of it comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
So for most of these industries, the planning and the need for like data to be in a consumable way early in their life cycle is very less. But when it comes to fashion, fashion moves fast. And it
Mm-hmm.
means like within 3 months you need to sell. And if you miss few weeks, you are sitting on the inventory.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep the inventory for next year, then you don't have cash to buy next season. And now your cash flow is done. And if you want to sell it at a loss, now you are taking a loss. So what does that mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you are like a $5 to $6 million fashion business, you need these kind of products.
Mm-hmm.
And if I am selling to someone, it's really hard for me to go and be like, hey, I'm a software engineer, never run your business, and I am going to help you solve the problem. People who are in this small SMB sector are much more open to hearing you, and it's easy
Mm-hmm.
to reach out to them compared to like a CPG brand where you need to be like a $60 million brand to even think about a software.
Yeah.
So part of that is more like business context than like this industry sparked me. Like
Uh,
what would help me, like ideas, innovations, and business. Everything needs to tie together to have a successful startup. So just taking a step back to see how every piece come together.
that makes sense. It's much more clear because I can see that you see there's a lot of complexities, a lot of moving parts, a lot of data, especially for like a women's fashion brand versus a more, streamlined. And then you have these cycles in their seasons. You have inventory issues, very very complex. But then there's also this fundamental layer of all the data has to be managed and looked at. So that's where you come in. So there's like this built-in business model. And then when you come into the industry, so now getting to Flair, you start this company that obviously has a different take, on the market, on the client experience we've talked about. So then, what is Flair, and what exactly are you doing for your clients?
So we try to bring together a bunch of your workflows together as the first problem we solve. One thing is we have a very tight email integrations, which existing player didn't have when we came into the industry. Why we started that is because one of the problems I kept hearing is like, hey, my production was delayed, but my marketing manager booked a model, and my production manager never communicated that to the marketing manager. And now you're paying for a model, but you don't have the sampling clothes for them to wear and take the photos.
Mm-hmm.
That's a loss. So most of the industry issues happened around communications, and that's where we started solving the problem. And a lot of these are hearing exercise for me. It's like every time I am in a sales call, I hear like what you're paying and then go back to the drawing room. And inventory is something we solve. For external users, it feels like you are solving inventory problem. They come, receive their purchase orders from factories, quantities update. The truth is, behind the scenes, we are a little more innovative in the sense like Shopify has done a great job. So when you receive a product, I just send it back to Shopify and sync it. So let
Mm.
Shopify handle the complex
Yeah, the stuff that
workflow.
they've already handling, let them handle that.
And for my users, it felt very different, right? They were like, hey, my existing ERP breaks a lot. Every time I have a Shopify connection breaking, I need to do these things. Your connection never breaks.
Mm-hmm.
It never breaks because the way I built it is just like it just goes back to Shopify.
Yeah.
But that makes it nicer for people because operationally, when they receive goods, your software just works. And communication helps you, having a communication view helps everyone see when there are factory delays. It's not just sitting siloed in one
Mm-hmm.
person's mind.
Mm.
And people use a lot of spreadsheet. One spreadsheet has certain days that needs to flow through another spreadsheet. Now that goes away, right? Because now you come to a system, you see when an inventory is coming. And if you are a planner, you know how much inventory is there, when inventory is coming, when your sales needs to happen. If you are a marketing or salesperson, you know when the inventory is going to hit, that you can go to the other wholesale dealers and everyone and start your conversation again.
Mhm.
So this is the first aspect we are bringing together. At the end of the day, what we want to be is that, like, from a engineering perspective,
Mhm.
yes, we will deal with the complexity. From workflow perspective, you should have a very customizable software where everyone gets information that they need to run their day-to-day business.
Got it. So inventory is really your focus at the moment.
Yes, inventory, especially receiving inventories and how the
Okay.
sales happens after that, is the focus.
What size companies are you typically working with?
I would say anywhere from like 10 million to 50 to 60 million is our sweet spot right now.
Okay.
If it's 100 million plus, they probably would need a robust accounting module and everything, which we don't
Sure.
have. If you're 5 million, less than 5 million, when people come to me, I would be like, don't shed money on an ERP. You just need Shopify, first grow,
Yeah.
then
First,
you can
yeah.
pay for a software.
Okay. So then for that sort of mid market that you're serving, is your product and solution kind of a bolt on to Shopify, or is it standalone?
One of the things I can talk about with this is the mistakes I have done in the last 2 years. So when we started building, we definitely built for customers in Shopify. So it was
Hmm.
very tightly, like, we added more value, built more features. And then
Okay.
at some point when the excitement happened, when a lot of other people who are not in Shopify signed up, I spent a year building my own inventory management module and stuff.
Mhm.
But then I realized that, like, the ACVs which you get from those brands are 5K, 6K, and you have to build a lot. And as a startup, I don't have the resources. So now I am fully refocusing and be like, with the resources I have, if I want to keep my customers happy, I need to define a customer profile that I can keep them happy while growing the company. So now we are kind of resetting and be like, you have to be in Shopify for to be our customer.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Um, is if you're working with one of these mid tier companies, what role are you typically interfacing with the most or adding value to the most?
It depends on the company. When
Okay.
we start talk about like 5 to 10 million companies, you have like 3 to 4 people. So the
Okay.
production people pretty much like does everything.
Hmm.
And we actually add less value in those companies,
Yeah.
because when you have very few people, it's just in their mind, because the only person seeing
Yes.
all the data
Yeah.
is like one
Yeah.
person, right?
They can just look and talk to each other and they
Yes.
communicate roughly pretty well. Yeah.
When they go beyond like 6 to 7 people, that's
Hmm.
when we add more value, because everyone
Okay.
is in the system, everyone
Hmm.
has different data to input, and
Hmm.
everyone is looking at it differently. A CEO would come and see, like, how much is my revenue, what is my profit
Hmm.
margin.
Hmm.
Account person would not just come and look for sales order, but also needs to understand, like, okay, when is a purchase order committing, and when a purchase order comes, do I have net 30 payments, net 60 payment? That means when your cash out is happening. That
Hmm.
helps them understand, like, the cash out. So a lot of times they don't enter the data, but a simple input from your production manager on when things are received goes a long way in having a dashboard that helps them plan. So, and then, like I said, marketing and everything I already touched on. So in typically the value we add is sharing information within the company between different profiles.
Gotcha. How do you get these conversations started? I mean, like, how do people find out about Flair and the problem they have? Because they may know that there's a problem, but they don't know really what the problem is, I suspect.
So our initial customers were pretty straightforward. We just email like 200 people and be like, I know your ERP sucks. We are trying to build something better. Do you
Oh,
want to work with us?
okay.
And that worked really well, because people really hated their ERPs.
Cold email does work if you have good emails.
But one of the mistakes we did is that for the next 1 year, we thought we should just build the products heads down and never did the marketing and reach out.
Hmm.
And that obviously that's what started biting us the back when we wanted to do the fundraise, right?
Hmm.
And then I went to my customers, and now I'm doing these podcasts to just
Hmm.
have some visibility.
Hmm.
I went to tech conferences, and never did cold calling, because I personally hate when people cold call me, but it works. I have
Yeah,
one person who is doing cold call.
that's great.
Those who hate, I'm sorry, but it just needed evil.
Hey, listen, I'm with you. I hate cold calls. I hate calling people, but there is a margin of success if done well. So it is a valuable kind of channel.
Yes. So that's where I'm learning. Again, all these are more like I am learning my way through sales. I am learning my way through how I can be innovative in reaching out to people.
Yeah. So I think this would be valuable to other founders too. That I'm interested to know, how do you, well, first of all, let me ask you the question: is your your ideal client, do they know what problem they have and they don't have a solution for it? And so you're showing up and saying, "Hey, I know you have this problem. You know you have this problem. We have a better solution. You want to come talk?" Or do they not know?
They know they have a problem. Everyone with ERP, like everyone based on how your company is structured, has different problems, but
Hmm.
you don't know the exact problem they have. That's
Right.
why at the first call, I usually let them talk about
Yes.
their business, and then you kind of intervene, right? The way I intervene is like, I know some of the, at this point, I have like gone through multiple admin access to like different platforms
Yeah.
while migrating the customers. I
Yeah.
know the softwares they use. So
Yep.
sometimes you just like, when they talk about the software, you know the problem in the software.
Hmm.
You just lean in and kind of deviate them to be like, hey, you said you look up your like SKUs regularly, what products
Yeah.
you have. But I thought this product does not have a text search and you need to remember
Yeah.
the random SKU number you assign. So kind of like when they explain, you kind of like here and there be like,
Hmm.
oh, I know this doesn't have that. How are you managing it?
Yes. So you're revealing the real problem on the call, which is the best way to go. So it sounds like you're approaching them with messaging or language in the way that they see the problem, and then get them on the call and talk about the bigger issues that are really going on.
There is also an asterisk here, right? One of the reason we have to do that way is because we are a premium product. That
Mhm.
means we are asking them to pay twice as much as they are paying right now.
Mm.
So you need to make sure you sell enough that they are ready to pay the
Mhm.
premium.
And reveal is, more of the pain, so they
Yeah.
understand really what they're losing by not switching
Yes.
at the same time. Yeah, that's
This is
interesting.
something I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of founders with ideas would face, is that when you are in like adding, like when you're an e-com platform, it's so easy to pitch that I'm increasing your sales by 10%.
Mhm.
And customers can relate the value of your product to the money that is in their bank. Now, what you are saying is, I'm helping you make efficient so that your bottom line is going to decrease,
Mhm.
which is not an easy thing to bring it to people and explain them how it is happening.
Mhm.
So it takes some like calls, take them like, this is how you are losing money. This is how your team is inefficient
Mhm.
before you can sell a product. So it kind of comes with like type of product you are selling and the customers you are selling.
Yeah.
So talking about value add changes so much and more, it becomes more challenging.
But at the moment, you have a big hand up in that you are technical. You're speaking probably still a lot to your initial clients you're selling them through. And so as a technical salesperson, you are on the front lines of, you've, like you said, you've had admin access. You can see how these things work. So you know exactly what questions to ask to get them to see what they can't see. How do you plan on translating that to, a future, like handing that off to a future salesperson that may not be as insightful as you?
I'm learning. So one of the example is cold call. I did my first set of cold calls. It was one of the most uncomfortable
Oh, I
things
hate
I
it.
did.
Yeah, it's the worst.
And I kind of wrote like have idea around like what the playbook should be and what needs to be. And then I hired someone and handed over the playbook. And then he would, one of the thing I was very particular is hiring people who do not need one-on-ones. They will report to me and I'm not going to have a career growth conversation. Because if you are reporting to a founder, you should be self-sufficient.
Yeah,
You should come to me with questions.
yeah,
And some of the things he just like, he brought a different perspective as well, right? It's not like
sure.
I need to hand over just what I know. An example for me is that I, being technical, knowing product so deep, I used to explain my product in a much more complex way. And he came and be like, don't talk about schemaless. Don't talk about you can track your product the way.
Mhm.
All he tried to do is like, hey, there is a lightweight ERP out there. Do you want to
Mhm.
take the call? It worked really well.
Yeah.
So to your question on transferring, when I look to transfer, I don't think I'm going to try to have someone do the exact same thing the exact same way I do.
Okay.
Rather, I want them to bring in their own style of
Mhm.
selling, and I want to see how that goes.
I like that. So as we wrap this up, what other advice do you have for founders that may be in the process of making transitions like you did from technical to non-technical specifically?
Any specific advice you get on this is exactly how things would turn out to be is BS unless you are in the situation
Yep.
it works. But being an engineer, one of the things you're so used to is problem solving. And being on your sales call, you are solving a problem for your client. So in
Mm-hmm.
terms of thinking, it's so much like similar thinking. So just not to be afraid of it. I was so afraid just being in front of people. So it took me some
Mm-hmm.
time and it's just reps, practice. The
Yeah.
final piece I would say is mentors. I am lucky enough to have so many mentors who would train me through this. Every time things didn't go well, they would give their peace of mind. So
Mm-hmm.
lean in on people around you.
What kind of mentors?
My executives at MongoDB, and there
Oh,
were
okay.
executives from other companies. The funny thing is, like, whoever I gave equity were probably the least helpful of my mentors. And these mentors who add so much value do not have any stake in the company,
Mm-hmm.
do not get paid, and they all add value.
Mm-hmm.
So just go out and like find some of the successful people out there, and they would help you navigate the situations.
That's great. This has been very eye-opening for me. It's very interesting. We may have to have you back for a part two because I have more questions. But for now, thank you for being on the show. And if I want to send people your way, where can we send them?
They can see me in LinkedIn, SC Harish, and I am usually active in LinkedIn. I post most of the things we do at Flair through my LinkedIn.
Okay, that's great. Well, I'll definitely see you on LinkedIn. I'm on there all the time. And anything else that you want to say as parting words?
It's just have fun. If you're finding a founding, if you're a founder, it's going to be hard every day, but you need to enjoy it.
Yeah. It looks like you're having fun, which is such a refreshing thing to see. So thanks again, Harish. And it was great talking with you.
Thank you.